after all these signings, the first MLB lockout in 26 years has now begun. Because I'll be honest, because of that, I did not know a lot about lockouts before this.
Yeah.
We both had to read up on it a little bit.
Yeah.
Any type of transaction, whether signings, trades, like roster moving back and forth between minors and majors, that's all on hold until the players union and the commissioner's office and the teams can come to an agreement. A lot of issues at play that were not agreed on. Expanded postseason with 14 teams. That's freaking half the league. Jeez. Free agency after 6 years for rookie contracts instead of 7. Revenue sharing. They talked about like a draft lot, like NBA style
Right.
draft lottery.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot going into, man. And obviously, there's how
Yeah.
much of the revenue players are gonna get. So
Right.
it sucks, man. Like there's no other way to put
Yeah.
it.
It's
And there's a lot we don't know too.
yeah. There's probably a lot going on behind the scenes that we really will never even know about. What we gotta hope for is that come April 1st, they figure something out.
Yeah.
I mean, let's not even say April 1st. Let's say mid-February because they need to have a spring training before the season can start.
Right.
I think this is really like painful for us as baseball fans too, because this is happening 2 years after we just had a delayed start due to COVID,
True.
and
Yeah.
we can potentially have the exact same thing happen and have a fucking 60-game season come starting in like the end of July again.
Mm-hmm.
So I really hope not. I hope that they figure something out because now that all these guys signed, man, we want to see all these guys play, you know?
Yeah.
And I think like
go ahead.
Another thing that they're talking about too is the DH in both leagues, and I think
True.
that should be easy. Like it should be yes, we're gonna have a DH in both leagues, but I hope that's not an issue that they're like arguing about because
who's holding that up?
I don't know. I hope that that's something that they actually agreed on. Hopefully, we don't find out that that's like a reason why the lockout happened because that would be really pathetic, honestly.
Also, man, how do you feel about expanded postseason?
Okay, well, I think 14 teams to me is too much. I would like it to be 12, not 10.
12?
Because I think that also gives, like, during the COVID season, there was 16. And, like, yeah, did mediocre teams like the Astros who were under 500 or
Marlins.
I forget. There was another team under 5. Yeah, the Marlins, I think.
Yeah.
Like, did they make the playoffs? Yeah. But, like, but there were more games to watch. There were more fan bases excited for the playoffs. And at the trade deadline that year, even though it was only after like a month of playing, a lot of teams made moves. Whether it was the Marlins getting Starling Marte from the Diamondbacks, or there were some other moves, I believe, that were like halfway through that season. It was just kind of strange. It was only like a month, and then they got traded. I think like when it's closer to half the league, that's too much. But I think 12, so maybe having like 6 from each league would I would like that because that gives teams more of a reason to trade at the deadline too, instead of just sit back and lose. So I don't know. What do you think?
I could probably get behind 12. I honestly though, I like we're at 10 right now. Yeah, 10.
Yeah.
Because I just don't want to reward mediocrity, and I say that as a Mets fan who like we're trying to just slip in at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I really would never want to see like an 80 win team, like an 82 win team get in. I just feel like you have to be better than that.
So what I think is interesting too is like last year. Let's look at the American League for example. If there were, let's say, 14 teams. That means that Seattle and Toronto would have been in. And they would have been in with 90 and 91 wins too.
And that's the thing. That like that would have been perfect. I'm right. Like that they deserved to get at that point. I just think there could be years it doesn't happen. And that's what's so you can't pin that down.
I know. So. I agree because like if you look at the National League, the Cardinals made the second wild card. I believe they maybe had 90, but I think it might have even been less.
Right.
And then like the next team after them, I don't know, maybe it would have been the Reds, maybe, who probably had like 84, 85, maybe. So yeah, I agree with you with that. Like, I wouldn't want
Yeah.
to see a team like that get in. But I think it would be interesting. Let's say it was 12. So maybe you give like the first seed, like a bye. I don't know how that would work.
I could get behind that. Yeah, I'm not sure how that
Yeah,
work either, but I did could figure out a way.
yeah. Um, I think that this is probably a big issue. Is probably the free agency thing, 6 to 7, 6
Yeah.
instead of 7. I think the league probably is saying fuck no, and the players are like, yeah, we want that. So I think that's probably a big issue because we've seen it before where like it was whether it was the Cubs holding Chris Bryant out for the
Hmm.
first whatever 2 weeks of his career and then he came up or whatever. We've seen it with guys having
Right.
like these guys deserve to hit free agency and make as much money as they possibly can. And like they deserve it earlier, I think. Because if it was after 7, guys have more of a chance of getting hurt or they're going to be older, so they'll make less money, things like that. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
Yeah. No, I think that makes sense too. So seven's a pretty large amount.
Yeah.
I can get behind 6. One thing I wanted to touch on as we kind of wrap this up, we had mentioned COVID and how when did the season start? Like August that year?
It was like the last week of July.
Right, yeah, but like if you remember, they were even having trouble coming to terms with that. And it wasn't because of necessarily
Right.
COVID; it was because of money, and they couldn't
Yeah.
figure out what percentage the owners get, the players
Right.
get. I'm
Right.
pretty sure
Right.
that's how it worked out. And like,
Yes.
I don't know, man. I just feel like other leagues don't always have this problem. Like we just went through this with
Yeah.
and that was I think in hindsight we're like, oh, it worked out fine. But at the time,
Yeah.
I think they weren't sure. And like I just feel like this money discussion is always coming up for MLB. And I just don't
Yeah.
see as much with other leagues, which is just kind of annoying.
Yeah. I agree. I just feel like I don't know if it's the owners or the player. I don't know like who's to blame. I guess maybe it's the league and the owners because like I guess you could look at it the other way. I don't know what it is, but I agree
Right.
with
The
you. It
players
happens
are
too
also
much.
millionaires, but like
Yeah.
not all of them are getting the huge contracts. So
Right.
yeah, man. Like it's a lot of money. Like this could be over in a few weeks, and then we're like, oh, okay, everything's going fine. But like at the time,
Right.
you don't know. And
Yeah.
now freaking MLB's website's all just like Hall of Fame ballots. Like I don't care. I want the league back.
And
I'll
it's like
just sign it.
yeah, I know. Like I'm wondering too. Like MLB Network, I think, is a part of MLB. So like, what are they going to talk about now?
What
Or like
I was just
like
thinking that.
they're just going to talk about the Hall of Fame ballots all day and like play old movies or something. Like, what are they going to do? I don't know. They're like making themselves lose money, so it doesn't really make sense.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, you're not gonna talk about the league at all? Like you're just gonna pretend like
I
it doesn't
know. Like,
exist?
I guess like probably today they give updates on the CBA stuff, and then after that, I don't really know what they do now. It's yeah, I don't know, man. It's not a pretty sight. I know we've probably only experienced like maybe 1 or 2 lockouts in all 4 sports in our lifetimes. I know back, I think when we were probably maybe 10 years ago, NHL had a lockout, and
NHL, NBA had one
maybe
right around
NBA
that
had one.
time.
So we haven't seen many happen,
No.
but a lot of times they don't end quickly. So I mean, we got to hope for the best here, but I don't know. We may be without baseball for a really long time.
I mean, the good thing is you have the buffer room. You have all December, January, and
Right.
then you still have spring training to kind of just yeah, essentially buffer room. Um,
Yeah.
so I mean, yeah, obviously we'll get back to it. It's gonna be a little bit at
Yeah.
least, but
Yeah. I mean, it's just after how exciting last year was, it was like the first full season after COVID.
right.
It's a
Coming off
bummer,
of
man.
that, like,
Like,
and
can't we
it's
just
also like an
agree? Like, come
exciting
on.
free agency too. I feel like the last few
Yeah.
years we have gotten like the most dragged out free agency where like Machado and
Yeah. Yeah.
Harper aren't signing till like February. Like we just
Right.
got a lot of good stuff, and like
Yeah.
so
It's like we got so much stuff, and it's like, oh wow, baseball's like awesome right now, and all of a sudden it's like we just got punched in the gut, and it's like, all right, now nothing's gonna happen, and we don't see anything. Like,
right
oh
now it
man,
just completely disappeared. So
yeah, it's
yeah,
tough,
well,
man.